Today we're going to be talking about the next step in AI, and that is robotics. Now, you may have started to hear this in the news. The narrative started to shift. We've started to see a lot of different people talk about robotics and why it's the next big thing and why it's going to be just as big, if not bigger than AI, and frankly, it does make a lot of sense. There's so much money that is going to be pouring into that robotics world. With AI is of course fantastic. It is going to change the world, but a lot of what we're going to need to actually impact the physical world is going to be robotics. And so robotics will of course have AI within it, but in order for robotics to actually take off, we need to have so much training, right? Like there's the obvious hardware issue that is being worked on by several companies and billions of dollars being pushed into it. Well, today we're going to be talking about MasterBot, which is actually working on training a lot of that robotics so they have ability to kind of navigate within the physical space. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to do this in a simulated virtual environment at 100x speed. So the training of these robots is 100x faster. So that way, when they get into the real world, they already have a fairly solid foundation of what to expect generally, right? So that's why I want to talk about MasterBot today. I did also want to let you know that this is a sponsored video. So they have paid me to talk about it, but I do think that this type of project is really cool. And for anybody who's been paying any sort of attention knows that robotics is kind of what's up next in terms of a really strong narrative. And I think the team here is really set up for success. So let's go ahead. We'll talk all about it, go over all of the things that are really noteworthy and worthwhile hearing for MasterBot. So let's go on ahead. You can see here, this is the MasterBot website. You can see here, power the brains behind the bots. They're building a Web3 platform where a global community trains the AI that will guide the robots of tomorrow. So we'll check out the demo here in a second. I think this helps clarify things very well. You also can buy the bot token. We'll be talking about the bot token because it has been performing quite nicely, and I might be looking at picking up some here because I do think that this type of industry is a $1 trillion plus industry. You can see everything. If any of you have been following Tesla and Elon Musk, that company is already massively valuable, and Elon Musk is thinking that it is absolutely nothing yet until they start receiving or they start deploying their Optimus robots. So, obviously there's a lot of really big people in the world that are super bullish on what robots and humanoid robots are going to be doing. Well, MasterBot is looking to provide the foundation for that. Now, they've already applied for the winter session of the Y Combinator. They've also applied for a grant from the Solana Foundation, and they have also applied to Stanford's incubator program. So this is a real legit team trying to do real legit things, which is super cool to see. If we look here again, like I said, we'll go back to the demo here, but I want to kind of pave the path and lay some of the groundwork here first. So we can see here, AI in robotics is growing at 28% annually, the fastest frontier in automation. Now, I don't think that this should be particularly surprising to anyone because, of course, AI and robots that is kind of the next big thing, and it is kind of a confluence of several really key technologies that we're really starting to figure out right now, which is very cool to see. Now, what I have noticed being particularly interesting is we have service robots, of course, being a prevalent piece in here, but it's a very small piece. It's the industrial robots, which is really interesting. Now, this is very important because MasterBot is really trying to focus on kind of the industrial and the B2B applications because they do make up about 75-ish% of the market, which is massive. Think about all the things that industrial robots could be doing, from working warehouses to logistics to manufacturing to packaging to shipping. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things they could do. Obviously, service robots will be very helpful as well, but there's just so many things that before you get to actually interfacing with the customer that these robots can help with, which I think is super important to understand. And I do think this chart actually does. I didn't really think about it until I saw this chart. So moving along here, you can see they're building the future of robots together. They have a daily training cycle, which is kind of interesting. Every 24 hours, 3 AI strategies compete to solve a new challenge while the community predicts winners using bot tokens. Results are published daily, creating valuable data and compelling content. Now they have the Sprinter, which is high risk, high reward speed. The marathoner, the slow and steady precision, and then the inventor, creative, novel solutions. Now, this will make a little bit more sense again when we run that demo, but it is cool because they are trying to do a prediction market to kind of help gamify some of the development that is going on here, which is pretty cool. Now, of course, you can see, as we've already talked about, there's massive potential here. Elon Musk himself has invested over $1 billion in humanoid AI robots. You've got the Unitree IPO valuation at $7 billion. You've got Amazon's robotic workforce estimated to be 1 million plus here. So, I mean, there's so many things going on. Now, and the last thing I want to show you is the roadmap, and then we'll dive right on into the demo here. We can see here the phase 1 is essentially the core simulation and MVP showcase. This is essentially the simulation that they're building within the Unity project. They're creating high quality demo videos. They're writing the white paper. They're designing the tokenomics and building a polished proof of concept. Now, phase 2, they are going to be doing the V1 launch, which is the core platform, to essentially launching the fully autonomous public platform. The app goes live, the training runs 24/7, and the robot AI begins learning from community interactions. Now, 3, they're going to be doing this prediction market implementation. They're going to be launching daily prediction markets where users can make predictions on AI robotic strategies, win rewards for accurate predictions, and help optimize the robot's learning algorithms. And then last but not least, at least so far in the roadmap, I'm not saying that the roadmap will end here, but this is what they have so far. You'll see that they have institutional robotics programming. This is full stack robotics AI software. They're expanding the business model to service institutions and businesses who are seeking greater efficiencies in their robotics training and unlock billions in the free market. So massive stuff going on here. You can see they've got a couple of other things down here, as well as the Telegram group if you're looking to follow on Telegram, the X account, which we'll get to in a second, the contract address as well if you're wanting to buy the bot token. Now, let's go take a look at the demo, and then we'll go spend some time on the actual token, because so far it's been pretty compelling. I think a lot of people are seeing the possible value here. Now, as you can see, they do have the prediction market. This is essentially where you can use actual bot tokens to essentially bet on which of the 3 AI strategies is going to perform the best, and then you can win based on correct predictions. Now, here you'll see the live training. This is where they run it at that 100x real world speed, which means in a single 24-hour period, they can gather 2,400 hours of training experience. Now, of course, I'm sure there will be some tweaking as it relates to specific deployment in the real world, but if we can get thousands and hundreds and thousands of millions of hours of simulated data, it is going to at least give a decent basis to stand on before, kind of going into the real world, which I think is what is important here. Now, here you can see this is kind of how the whole process works. So here is the prediction markets piece. You can bet on the sprinter, the marathoner, and the inventor. Currently, it does look like most of the market is betting on the sprinter, with marathoner being second and then the inventor being third. And then you can see all the different stats on predictions. Now, this is today's challenge course. Now, you can see it's 1.2 kilometers. The really thing that's important to note here is that this changes every day. You can see here a daily challenge is generated every 24 hours. Our autonomous game master algorithm procedurally generates a unique complex obstacle course. We can see here that difficulty is hard. You can see you've got a steep ramp, a gap jump, a barrier, then a platform, then a bridge, then a wall, and then of course the finish there. The best time so far is 4 minutes and 23 seconds for a 1.2 kilometer run or walk. I don't know how fast the robot or the simulated algorithm is moving here, but pretty impressive stuff. So you also see, this is kind of what's coming soon. This is a demo of kind of how things are going to be looking. From my understanding, this is not active quite yet, but this is kind of exactly how it's going to look and how it's going to work. I think the idea itself is actually really unique and super interesting. So actually, yeah, you can see here it's demo mode, interactive preview only, no real predictions, feature coming soon. So not out quite yet, but I do think that this kind of gamification of training real data is actually pretty interesting. I am actually interested to know how they're going to take some of this prediction market data and drop it into kind of, maybe it's going to impact the algorithm, or I don't know exactly. I'm very interested to see kind of how that works. But overall, really interesting stuff going on so far. I did want to move over and show the tokenomics here. Now, I did just a tiny bit of charting so you could see kind of exactly what we're looking at here. Now, you could see that price has been fantastic, right? I mean, price growth has been really good. We saw a couple of days back going up, what is this, almost 3x in a single day. So not too bad. And then, of course, you can see we have been kind of doing this ascending wedge up to this like decent level of resistance we have at about the 32 to 33 million mark. So again, this is a relatively new chart. I'm not saying that, you know, we can trust technical analysis to be kind of the end all be all. But you can see kind of we are having a little bit of resistance at this level, but some really, really strong support kind of on this ascending trend line, which currently even the lowest we could probably get back to is about 27 million. So for me, at least, following this structure, the downside is quite limited, with the upside, you know, particularly if we break out here, being absolutely massive. If you look back to some of the other AI projects that did well, you could see things like Griffin AI went to like 800 million in market cap, I believe. So at 32 million here, I mean, we're well over a 10x. We're probably looking at close to, what is that, a 25x almost, if we were to hit kind of the same levels that Griffin AI did. So not bad at all. You know, that would turn $1,000 into 25 grand for every 1,000 invested. So really not bad at all. You can see the volume here is actually looking pretty nice as well. So I am quite encouraged by what we're seeing out of the MasterBot chart so far. We'll obviously see how that continues along. Now, the other thing I want to show you too quickly before we wrap up is you can see this is the MasterBot X account. You can get to it just by coming through the website here. As I mentioned, if you go to the very bottom here, you'll see follow on X, Telegram. You also have them in the very bottom of the page as well. So if you want to check it out, just click that link in the description below. I will have it will actually take you to this site, and then you can basically use it to get anywhere else that you want to get. But as you can see here, decent bit of followers so far. They are seeing some pretty impressive growth off of just a couple of posts so far. So I didn't even realize I wasn't following, but this is one I definitely want to keep an eye on. And so this is one that I think is going to be super interesting to track over time, just from the development of the actual progress in the bot itself, the actual coin price. I think there's so much to be looking for here and so much to be looking forward to. So again, hopefully you found the information in the video useful. I personally think that this is a very cool project. Huge thank you to MasterBot for sponsoring this video. It does, of course, help support the channel and everything like that. So massive thank you to them. Also, if you are interested, like I said, I have all of the links in the description below. You'll just have that link to the website, and then from there you can basically find anything else that you want. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one.